19. We have with us today on the call Mr. Pranav Amin, Managing Director, Mr. Shaunak Amin, Managing Director, Mr. R.K. Baheti, Director, Finance and CFO, Mr. Mitanshu Shah, Head Finance, Mr. Ajay Kumar Desai, Senior VP Finance. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star and 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Pranav Amin. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining our conference call. The reason for this is we had multiple requests for a call about this topic and Alembic and the pharmaceutical outlook. And instead of individual calls, we thought we'd just do one where we address all of you together. Before I get to the COVID pandemic, let me address the FDA issue that we recently had at F1, a main formulation plant for the US and the European markets. We had two auditors who spent a week, about 5 days with us, inspecting the plant. It was a general GMP audit. We've issued 4 Form 483 observations. None of these are repeat observations, nor are they related to data integrity. Broadly, the observations were quite procedural and related to strengthening of our SOPs. I'm quite confident that they're quite benign and we should be able to respond to them adequately. Coming to the COVID pandemic, the pharmaceutical industry is relatively less affected by this compared to some of the other industries we have seen. Up until a few weeks back, the only pertinent concern for Indian pharmaceutical industry was the inbound material coming in from China, which is the API and the intermediates and the disruption in the supply chain. However, things have been progressing quite fast and exponentially. And let me take you through what our thoughts are on, in particular, to Alembic and what we're facing, so you get an idea. I'll talk about the international business first, talk about supplies from China. So, as I've said earlier, that we are relatively, we generally carry higher inventory levels. Number 2, we have a lot of domestic intermediate suppliers. We have our own API facility for our international formulations. And we very much restrict the usage of Chinese API in international markets. So we are not really concerned, or we haven't got affected by the shortage in supply from China so far. So we're quite comfortably placed. Having said that, what we are seeing is that supplies from China have improved and they're getting back to normalcy quite soon. So this is not a concern enough for us anymore. We have enough inventory and we're seeing supplies resuming from China as well. Coming to the international markets, so far, as of today, we have not seen any disruptions in our international markets. We have enough inventory to cater to these markets. Our strategy, as I've repeatedly been saying is that we want to be nimble with our supplies and capture market opportunities when they arise, when disruptions arise. The US business is continuing with our routine sales and dispatches. We have enough inventory in the US. The team is working from their home, but no impact on sales and dispatches. Europe, our sales to Europe are through our partners, and most of our shipments are FOB. So far, we seem to be okay with sales and dispatches in this quarter. API. We are seeing increasing opportunities in the API space and trying to monetize as many as possible. The government recently came out with a notification where it banned the export of some antibiotics and retrovirals. Some of our products were in that. However, they have reversed this, or they have eased these norms where you can apply to the government, so they are giving permission. So that should help us. Another initiative that the government has done, which will help us in the near future, is they have hastened the approval process for incremental capacity at API plants. So that should help us because we see a lot of opportunities in API and we need to expand the capacities, and we were waiting for some of these permissions. So that should help us in the near term, 3 to 6 months. For our manufacturing, as far as manufacturing is concerned, we have had no disruption in manufacturing, and all plants are running on full capacity as of date. The only potential area where in the future we may see some disruption is on the outbound logistics. This, as you know, in the last week or so, we've seen a lot of flights and lockdowns in many countries. So far, we have not seen anything, but outbound logistics may get a little constrained, so shipments may go out. I'm not overly worried about it because it may delay shipments by a week or two, but nothing else that I'm concerned about. I believe that the pharmaceutical industry is in a good space so far. I will just hand it over to Shaunak to talk about the domestic business and the impact that we are seeing on the lack of it.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start first by talking about the supply chain. I think, as you know, India is quite heavily dependent on Chinese supplies. I think we started taking a call second week of February, looking at the situation that was unfolding in China, to start building up inventory in our key APIs. And from that point onwards, we've been consistently buying APIs. And, I think from supply chain point of view, I think we are in a very comfortable situation for the next quarter, 2 quarters. So that's on the API and supply chain side. Secondly, I think coming to our plants, I think our plants have fully been active. And again, about 2 weeks ago, we took a call to step up production out of our second facility and start operating additional shifts just to make sure we have more product available in the market. So that's the second step which we've taken to ensure there's good movement of product and there's good availability of products at all our CFA locations. So that's the second step we've taken. Third step, when it comes to our operations out of our Bombay office, I think as early as starting on Monday, we have started operating remotely for pretty much most of the office, and I think we're in a very comfortable situation at this point in terms of operating remotely from the head office point of view. Secondly, I think when it comes to the medical reps point of view, at the moment, the whole industry has decided that the medical reps should not be asked to work, and everyone is working from home. I think we have some exposure to digital marketing, and as well as we're using this time to work on budgets for the next financial year. Along with that, there is an amount of time being made to make sure that there's product availability, customer interfaces remotely are happening. So that's on the domestic side. Yeah, and training for them are also going on. So that is where we are, and I think we're pretty well prepared for what to come and what we can foresee at this point in time. In terms of major disruptions that we are expecting to our business at this point, I think we fall under essential commodities, so we have to supply, and I think we've taken a call to make sure we're there updating, the doctors on the latest information that we see in and around this or with anything associated. So that's an ongoing thing. Another small thing is there have been some studies going around related to a combo of hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin done in France on a 20-patient randomized study. We have seen that we are in a wait-and-watch situation. We are constantly scouring, all medical updates in regards to any of our key products that can play an active role in treatment of the coronavirus. So we are on that job, and we are constantly looking at to see if there's anything that can be used. And we're waiting and watching to see if there's more data that comes out on azithromycin, as we have a large interest and large stake in that product. So that is where we are. In regards to regulatory, I think we have made representations, industry has rather made representations to NPPA in regards to price revisions. I think, you are well aware of that, and it's been fairly well documented in the newspapers. What else are we looking at? I think that's good. So I think I can open it for questions. So thank you.
Sure, so thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is on the line of Damayanti Kerai from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you very much for conducting this call and providing us to speak on this current situation. So my first question is, in view of FDA suspending all foreign inspections till April, are we seeing any impact on the ANDA review process? Anything so far has come, or it's going on as usual?
It's going on as usual. We're not seeing any impact. We're still getting communication from the FDA. I think they've put audits in India on hold, but the work is going on from home, seeing ANDA reviews, queries, all that is going on as expected.
Okay, so barring the products which may need prior approval inspection, all other ANDA approval process would go smoothly, right?
It seems so far. We haven't seen any change in that process.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your response. That's all from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Viraj Parekh from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead. Viraj Parekh, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead with the question.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is Divesh Pathak. I think the name was announced strongly. In terms of the new facilities, that we had built, and FDA is not coming for inspection now. So can you just refresh my memory in terms of, I think Aleor and there was one more which was already inspected.
Yeah. So I'll take it through that. So we had F1 is the main formulation plant which just got inspected again a few weeks back. F2 is the oncology block. The oral oncology has already got inspected twice and approved. F3 is the injectable plant, and we have just filed the first of our products from there. So we weren't expecting audit anyway till the end of the year. And F4 is Jarod, where we will be filing the first of the products from there soon. So that also we weren't expecting an audit until the end of the year.
Okay. And on azithromycin, I was just, it is one of those penicillin-based products, right? So actually starting material would be coming from China for that, right?
So no, we were talking about azithromycin. Azithromycin is not from penicillin, from erythromycin. Some of the starting material is from China, some comes from Europe and the US as well. But this is a product that we've had for a while, so we carry enough inventory for that.
But in terms of new supplies which are linked to azithromycin from China, are you getting those or you're not getting them?
Yeah, we're getting it.
You're getting it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ranveer Singh from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for taking my question. On this existing facility where we got USFDA 483. So just wanted to understand how much ANDA relates to the facility, in panel of facility.
Sorry, how much is what?
Can you pick up the phone? I think you are calling from a speaker phone and the voice is not very audible.
Yeah, is it audible?
Yeah, it's better.
I was asking, the facility himself recently got 483, that Panela facility.
Yeah.
How much ANDA filing relates to that facility? That I would like to understand.
I think today, you see, all our commercial supplies are from that facility. And in terms of filing, about over 100, 140 filings or so.
So also out of pending 71 roughly ANDA, I believe that Thane Lab is the main facility, key facility, where bulk of ANDA has been.
Yeah. For API, for formulations, we only have one facility which supplies commercial to the US, and that is this F1.
Right. And in your commentary, you said in domestic market, because now MRs are not working on field. So, and I believe that as the directives given by government, their salaries and other perks should continue, I believe. So, how much, to your assessment, is going to impact our P&L? How much, in terms of revenue expense, we are going to see changes?
So, as long as sales are getting generated, it won't impact the P&L. And as Shaunak said, that while MRs have restricted calls, I think they are still in touch with the doctors digitally, telephonically, by mails. So we are still promoting our products, and I think as far as the stockist upliftment of stock is concerned, we have not seen any major deviation. So we are on target.
Yeah.
So I don't think we would have an impact on P&L in short term.
Yeah. Just to give you an update, I think since MRs have been not in the field now for 4 days, I think despite that our billing trend as per what we should be billing continues, that we see no change, and we see movement of stock also, movement of product into the market as normal. So we don't see that as a major issue at this point.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Thakkar from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So on Europe, since Italy, Spain, and Germany, these three nations are suffering from COVID. Your comments, or if you could help us understand how we should now look at Europe.
So, listen, Europe, unlike other companies, we don't have a direct front end in Europe, right? So the only market apart from India where we have a direct front end is the US, where we have our own team. So Europe, we supply to our partners who in turn have their supply chains and go through. So as far as we are concerned, we're seeing supplies as normal. We're not seeing any disruption so far.
Okay, but there is nothing on the demand side of it?
No, we haven't received any change in forecasts or supplies or anything, so we are continuing with our plans as usual.
Okay. You think this oil crisis could have some impact on such matters?
I think oil, in terms of the pharmaceutical space, I don't think there will be any impact of oil. At a macro level, yes, you may see transport coming down and stuff like that. So there's so many other variables today. So I think it's very hard to just give an impact of oil on pharmaceutical industry.
Okay. And to the extent the solvents and adjuvants are related, could there be some kind of savings there?
Technically, yes. But in this environment, again, when you're talking about so much disruption and getting availability and being that, so I don't see that as yet. Maybe 3 to 6 months down the line, you may see a benefit in pricing.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks for the answers. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nimish Mehta from Research Delta Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'm sorry, I actually missed some of the initial comments, but what I understand is that, despite all the disruptions that might have happened from China and all that, as of now, our sales and our targets are kind of intact. Is that a right understanding?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I said in the opening statement is, up until last week or 10 days back, the only concern was that China and the supplies coming from China, and repeatedly we've insulated ourselves by carrying high inventories, and we source from domestic suppliers. So that's one. Number two, what's happening is now supplies from China have already resumed. So that has eased that, so we are comfortable on that. Only issue where we may see, and we haven't seen it so far, is on the outbound logistics, which may delay or supplies by about a week, 2 weeks, depending on how the flights and the ports are planned.
Okay. So what I understand from our previous conference is that we will have inventory till the end of March, and now that the supplies have resumed from China, we are likely to see a serious position as far as logistics from supplies. Is that out there?
No, actually, that's not a right statement. We've never said that we have inventories till March. We always have quite a few inventories. So we're never concerned about this China situation right from the beginning, last quarter itself.
Yeah. From India point of view, I think we're covered up to July at least at this moment. And like you said, China supplies have started, so we will keep covering and we will keep carrying extra inventory.
Okay. And last, do we see any impact on API as well? Because API supply of intermediate might come from China, and that might just be.
Actually, I'm seeing more opportunities on the API rather than constraints. The opportunities are in two areas. One, where people want API from us. However, we were restricted by capacities. So what the positive, and I said it in my opening statement, is the government is fast-tracking permissions for increase in API capacity in building plants. So that should benefit us over the next 6 months onwards.
Yeah, as we have a substantial capacity that will go on stream post this change in government decision.
I see, and you don't see intermediate supply as an issue for API ramp?
No.
Okay. Fair point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sayan Mukherjee from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Just one question.
Mr. Mukherjee, request you to be a bit close or louder to the speaker. Thank you.
Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one question on, we heard like prices were moving up of raw materials in the initial phase. I don't know, especially for anti-infectives, which directly or indirectly were linked to China. So when you look at your raw material costing now, how it has it impacted you, and how are the prices now?
So there's two parts of it, right? So you're right. Some anti-infectives, the pricing has gone up. But then again, in other cases, the selling price in the international markets of these products has also gone up. So it kind of balances itself. In terms of internal, I think still there's enough room. We have a whole contract, so we should be okay.
Yeah. So just to add from an India point of view, like I said in my opening statement that we started covering in February. So a lot of the APIs we have covered have been at those original rates. And obviously there was subsequent to that, there was a bit of a panic situation in the market, and traders did start quoting both Chinese and domestic in terms of higher API prices, though we have not been exposed to that. And like we said, we see China supplies resuming, which it has already should bring the prices back to more reasonable levels.
Okay. So net, you don't see any impact on the P&L because of these movements?
No, there would be, but difficult to assess at this moment. Also, as Shaunak said earlier, the industry associations have already made representations to the government, to NPA and to Department of Pharmaceuticals for a revision in particularly aluminum prices. At this time, because of the inflation index taken up to December is just less than 2%, the price rise which will be effective from 1st of April 2020 will be 1.88%. And there I think quite a few antibiotics fall into that aluminum products. So there is already some discussions going on, and TBA is also working on it. So let's expect some relief from NPPA also.
So what portion of the domestic formulation sales would come under this category where you are asking for a relief because of higher prices?
So, I think it would not be fair on my part to discuss molecule-wise impact or molecule-wise whether these, how much of impact on which molecule, because these are all competitive sensitive information. We have submitted all of the data to the government.
Okay, sir, I was just asking as a percentage of the domestic sales.
Boss, you know the NLEM prices, you know which are the products which are covered in NLEM, you know which are having the impact.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I'll answer Mr. Bailey's question in a different way. I think immediately for Q4 this financial year and Q1 next financial year, we see no impact.
Okay.
Subsequent to that, if there is a consistent run-up in API prices from China at that point, I think that's when our discussions with NPPA would have some material benefit. And both NPPA and Department of Health have shown willingness to revise prices based on elevated procurement rates from China. I think as and when that happens, I think there would be definite scope for us to go and make a relevant representation when we do feel a lot of pressure because of this. So, like I said, I think for the next 2 quarters, I think we're in a fairly comfortable situation at this point.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameer Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks. A quick one on logistics and transportation. How much of your inbound material is coming from sea route versus air, and likewise for the outbound?
About 80 is coming by sea for the inbound and 20 by air. And outbound, I'm assuming the air would be higher at this stage.
Okay, it's like 30-70 for outbound?
So outbound will be
Outbound 90-10.
90 air and 10 sea.
All right. Okay, that's great. And second question is, so how much does it take to further backward integrate your APIs into intermediates so as to reduce dependence on countries like China? And that's a general question, not specific to you.
So it's a good question. Actually, this is something that we have been increasingly working on for over the last few years. It's not because of COVID, because of the disruptions we've seen from China, and not just now, but in the past as well. So it takes a while. It's not impossible. I think a lot of them we do have either an internal source or a domestic source that we do. Our supply chain team and I have some members here with me. They constantly keep doing that. So it's possible. It's not tough. Some products where China's got a really huge advantage. It might not be as price. It might not be as price competitive, but it's an ongoing process. But it's possible to do. It's not as bad.
If you think about the industry, do you think this could be a major trend over the next 1 to 3 years, when more and more company tries to internalize intermediates?
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that trend it's already started over the last few years. And broadly, because you have to see specifically, if you see the U.S. market, what is happening is your disruption in supplies is a huge penalty if you can't supply. And people have realized that they made that mistake. So they've all been internalizing either APS, intermediate supplies, or getting local partners who are good intermediate suppliers. And we're following the same suit as well.
Great. And see, interview after interview, many companies have come and said that, the dependence on China directly or indirectly for intermediates in API is very high. About 60-70% is the product overlap. However, you are saying that yours is much less. So which is the right version?
So, okay, now intermediates, it depends which stage of intermediate or how basic the intermediate is. And what you see that, I think 60-70% would be a right amount. I think people would have alternate sources in India, but not for everything. So it's an ongoing process. I think we are okay because we do have see, again, you have to see which are your priority products where, as I've said in my call, there's about 20% of your products, which is bulk of your profits, right? The top 20% make up 80% of your revenue and profits. Those are the ones that you have to be backward integrated or have alternate sources, and that's what we've done. The rest of the industry, it's fair enough. I think 60-70% is about right.
Okay, that's great. And one final one. How are you thinking about the currency, which is the forex, rupee dollar moved from 70 to 74, what have you?
No, so that's definitely benefiting us as we are a net exporter. So that's been in our favor, and we're actually happy about that so far.
Okay, and there's no adjustment in your selling price to your customers in US, etc.
No, because it's all we sell in dollar, right? So we're okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Vineet Gala from Monarch Networth Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So what are your thoughts on this recent CHQ plus azithromycin for tackling COVID in terms of our US and domestic business? If you could throw some more light on that. And also if you could tell us what is the azithromycin export to the US? Do we export that? And if yes, what percentage would that be?
Okay. So Vineet, I'll answer the first question in regards to the hydroxychloroquine+azithromycin study that's been come out of France. I think up to now, whatever we researched, I think it's a leading virologist out of southern France which has done this exercise. I think I think what we're waiting for is more data. As of now, the data that you'll see this per the report is a 20-patient non-randomized study. So that gives some indication, and we are tracking aggressively to see if this indication is, if this follow-up to the study is ongoing, and we expect some more follow-up data to be emerging out on this. We have also started discussing with all leading experts within the country as per their opinion, and they're trying to get their opinion on this combo and how azithromycin can play a pivotal part of treatment on this. So I think it's an ongoing and unfolding situation. It's got traction, I think maybe 3 days ago, and we're just waiting and watching to see if there's any further clinical data that comes out of this at this point. I think in regards to export, Azi.
As the exports, we do have a lot of orders right now. We've seen.
What is the supply to the US?
Supply to the US is not much. We're not supplying much to the US. The ROW markets and Europe is where we supply more.
Okay. So, in terms of our API capacity, you mentioned like we have there's a possibility of increase in our API capacity due to recent policy change. So is that correct?
Both currently and API 1, which is at Manila. I think this ruling will help both our capacities.
Okay. So, and when will these two plants be available for the US market?
I think they're already available. Both are audited by the US FDA. It's a matter of how we put the balancing equipment up, what kind of permissions we get. I think 6 months or so is what we'll take a look at, and we'll get a better perspective, better idea on that.
Okay. And so, last question from my side. So, what percentage of APIs do we export specifically to the US market?
I don't have that figure. It's tough to say because, directly or indirectly, they may end up in the US because we may supply to Indian suppliers who are then using it in the US. So it's tough to get that answer.
Okay. Okay, sir. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prakash Agarwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
One question on domestic business. Would it be fair to assume that the acute segment would have picked up as well as a lot of pre-buying would have happened given the scare has been there for 1 month now for domestic business?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
So, just trying to understand, with the extended winters and this coronavirus being there for last 1 month now, would it be fair to assume a lot of pre-buying by the patients in India just to stock and also pick up especially in the acute segment of your business?
So we see in terms of all this scale up, I think about exactly 2 weeks from now, I think in and around holy time, I think there was not a single talk of COVID within the country. I think we've seen a rapid scale up in the last 10 days in terms of the government as well as the response to people in the country. I mean, I can't give you an answer whether there's been a lot of pre-buying on this. It's hard for me to answer it at this point because literally we're just seeing, things happening unfolding in a very quick fashion. Have we seen a better response because of this and because of season? I think as of now, our sales trends are matching, this month are matching what they were for the last 3 or 4 months. So if that gives you an answer that has it shot up or has it shot down, I don't think so, but it's exactly in line with how we've been seeing our sales progress over the last, if I give you actually as per 20th, if I compare it with 20th of, Jan, Feb, December last year and November last year, I think it's more or less exactly in that range. So that if that gives you an answer.
Understood. Fair enough. And on the other side, when we look at, the Maharashtra lockdown and all, would it be difficult for the CNS agents, distributors to, send shipments and products to the retailers while the retailers have shops are on, but the transportation would be a big issue because.
Yeah.
So what is the view there?
So as of now, I think because we are essential drugs, essential commodities, I think it is imperative that the whole supply chain has to stay open, starting from plant all the way to the retail level, which includes CFA as well as stockist. And as of now, we don't see any impact of that or transportation related issues. I mean, we have to supply, and I think it's against. I think we don't see any reason why that would not happen.
Okay. And lastly, on the statins, just to understand in terms of our preparedness, we talked in the last call that, it's a more medium-term opportunity versus a near-term opportunity. Given the disruption in supply side, both for raw materials as well as our shipments, would we see any risk to this statement?
No change in that statement. You're about statins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no change. I think we're saying business as usual. No change from what I said in the last call.
Could it actually see a positive impact given more disruption across space? Or?
I think, as I said in my opening statement, our strategy is based on being a nimble supply chain and catching the disruptions. So there could be, and we always gear up and try moving fast on that. So there could be disruptions on many products, not just statins. So let's see what happens. We'll know the next few weeks.
Great. Thanks and all the best.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal Mehta from Vallum Capital. Please go ahead.
So thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to clarify one statement which you made that with respect to the products contributing 80% of your profits, you said you are backward integrated to the extent of intermediate. Is that correct?
Integration on intermediate, how much?
So it's very tough to say, but it's an ongoing process, the backward integration of intermediates. We continue doing that depending on which products where. I don't have that figure handy in terms of percentage.
But it's just to say that for the key products which will contribute the cream of profits for us, we will be backward integrated. Would that be a fair statement, sir?
You're saying that where we have bulk of the profit, how much is backwardly integrated? I would say that, because these are some old products, on the API side, almost everything is backwardly integrated.
No, I think from the US perspective.
Yeah. From US perspective as well.
Okay. Yeah. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Surya Patra from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for this opportunity. I just wanted to have a sense that you mentioned that now then policy changes about capacity addition in the API side.
Yeah.
So they have added, since all the new capacity so far as the environmental clearance is something they have put under the category B2 thing. So what practical benefit that you should be getting, whether it is just a relaxation on its front or it is some benefit also that they are so trying to provide? So
the benefit is, as you know, the international generic industry is a very dynamic industry and the volumes are very high. And especially in the wake of disruptions, you need capacity that can be scaled up or scaled down very fast. So we always wanted to increase the API capacity to get ready for this. What the new ruling does is it removes a lot of the bureaucracy and makes it much faster to apply and increase plant capacity.
Okay. And any other, on the financial front, any benefit or any relaxation or anything of that sort is there, or because always the argument was that kind of the fiscal advantage what Chinese are getting and the scale at which they are operating, that is making the kind of a difference.
No, Surya, I think there are two different announcements. What Pranav is referring to is immediate setting up or expanding your API facilities. So the advantage to industry would be the faster approvals. Earlier, the process of getting environment clearance and the local pollution control board clearance is already long. That hopefully should be faster. We need to see that happening on the ground. Yeah. They have also announced some fiscal benefits for setting up new API facilities. I think the details are yet to be out. If they are out, at least we have not studied it. And see, they are talking of setting up a pharma dedicated park somewhere in Telangana, and I think they are inviting API facility manufacturing companies to set up their facilities there, and it will carry a lot of value addition. So all those details are being worked out, and I think those are medium to long term measures. I don't think that would have an impact immediately.
Okay. And next question on the logistic part side. anything that you are anticipating if as of now we have not seen or nobody has possibly from the industry side witnessed any logistic issue, whether it is so for the international trade or the domestic trade. So, given the kind of scenario, are you seeing anything that can evolve since it is an evolving scenario?
So, as I said, the only place that we may see some is on the outbound logistics. As you know, some flights are getting rescheduled and some flights have got cancelled and some people aren't flying to the US. So there may be some reshuffling of dispatches, but apart from that, I don't see anything else in terms of logistics.
And largely the 80% outbound logistic is through air, what you mentioned, it is because of the formulation only, even the APIs are also replaced.
No. Context of formulation.
Okay. And just last one question, sir. On the digital marketing front, what you mentioned, how can you share something more on the how efficiently and how effectively that is happening and on the cost?
I think it's routine stuff. I don't think I need to give a lot of details because MRs are not encouraged to go to the field and meet doctors in their chambers. Doctors are also avoiding it. I think we are doing our bit of promotional activities or other product detailing, as we call it, through mails and through mobiles and so on. So it's a standard stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Sharma from Kavi Stockbroking. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So just wanted to get clarity on the OSD plant which was inspected and we got 4 observations.
Yeah.
So what time are we looking at for resolving this, and will there be a time lag in approval process in the launches which are there?
No, I don't expect delay in any of the launches there. These are general observations which we will reply to them in the next few weeks, and we should get an EIR hopefully soon. No launches are going to be held up because it is not a warning letter or a report alert. It is quite benign, as I mentioned. They're quite procedural in nature, so I don't expect it to escalate.
Okay. Another thing, just wanted to know what is the capacity of azithromycin and how much do we plan to cater if the opportunity presents for India, US markets?
So actually, we don't disclose our capacities. In terms of API, we do have multi-product plants. Again, in azithromycin, there's different grades of azithromycin depending on where the product is going. We are, in India, the largest manufacturers of azithromycin that I know for a fact. So we are working on capacities. It just depends which grade, where, and what we want to capture.
I think from a domestic point, we're covered up till July, if I remember correctly. So I think from that point of view, I think we're fairly well.
This product, is it currently under NLEM?
Yes,
in India.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bhagwan Chaudhary from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Just one question on the US part. Here is also almost locked down. So are you seeing any supply disruption within the country?
So I said in the opening statement, we are not seeing any disruption in the US. People are working from home. Dispatches are taking place and sales are also taking place. So I'm not seeing any disruption so far.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shivan Sarvaiya from JHP Securities. Please go ahead. Sorry, so it seems we have lost the line for the current participant. A reminder to our participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Dhiresh Pathak from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Yeah. This domestic business, we had some hygiene issues and we were underperforming for the last 2-3 quarters. So any comment you can make on that? Like how is the traction there?
Yeah. So I think going forward this quarter, we've seen substantial traction. As we know it's been a year and this is what we are forecasting. So I think we were seeing things on track. I think we moved beyond disruptions in the domestic business, and I think, unfortunately, what is happening right now, I think we were in a very good situation. Things were rolling out very smoothly. Like I said, I think even this month and this quarter, we hope that, or we are sure that things should go smoothly. Looking at all the measures we've taken over the last 1 year, so we're seeing a meaningful impact of that on us at this moment. So, and we foresee that impact continue.
We'll see the primary sales growth that you report in line with the market growth rate or better than that on a reporting basis.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Better than the market.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Shivan Sarvaiya from JHP Securities. Please go ahead.
Sorry, sir, I got disconnected. So my question is general for the US market for Pranav, sir. So what would be the broad parameters that the company would evaluate before going ahead incurring the R&D cost and filing for a drug? Because a lot of the approvals that we've been getting are for drugs which have been having small market sizes and a lot of players already present in the market. So just wanted to get your understanding on that. Thank you.
Okay, so very lot more basic question than COVID related. But we've actually done a whole exercise over the last few years in terms of which products make sense for us. What are the patent expiry dates? What is the complexity? What is the API availability? What is the market opportunity? Now, when we evaluate it versus what happens in the market is also different. Sometimes when you have fewer products, first of all, there's not too many products left where there's only one or two people in the market, right? That's one. So we do a P&L and we have an internal IRR per product and we evaluate the whole risk across different forms. That's why one of the reasons we went into injectables, derm, ophthalmic, oncology, so we can differentiate our portfolio as well.
Okay. So what would be that IRR in, if you could give a broad range?
I mean, you see all the numbers that we have been rolling around, actually, it's around 30-35% is the number that we are looking at. I mean, some would be higher, that would be like, 20-25. Yeah. Really.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is a follow-up question from the line of Nimish Mehta from Research Delta Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity. I have one general question for Alembic as well as being an industry participant. If we were to manufacture API and intermediate which we were otherwise not manufacturing, will we be able to match our cost with the China prices? In other words, is it not likely to increase the input cost because that was the whole idea behind importing from China?
No, it's very tough to match the Chinese cost in terms of products. So you have to see where the selling price at the end market is high and where the cost of supply or the de-risk of supply, where it's worth it. So product to product, China is much cheaper than India.
But in general, what do you think would be, the differential that might, occur because of, let's say, lot of API or intermediate manufactured in India, which were here manufactured?
Very, very, very tough to answer because very product and intermediate specific, depending on what scale you're manufacturing, what you're doing. So it's very tough to answer that.
Okay, amazing. Second, again, more or less on the same line, like in terms of the manufacturing value chain, let's say, right, from the basic raw material up till, from there to intermediate to API to formulation. Barring intermediate and some of the APIs, I mean, are we also kind of self-dependent as a country, on basic raw materials for intermediate? Or how is that scenario? Because that has been my clear sense.
Okay. So for the international business, we don't buy any API from China. It's only intermediates. For domestic, we buy few APIs, and all the other stuff we buy either from India or Europe or any of the other nations. We don't buy the rest from China.
No, I understand. As I said, more to understand from an industry participant more than Alembic per se. Are you saying how much are we dependent on China? Even if we were to manufacture API and then let's say manufacture intermediates. Is that true that the raw material for intermediates still comes from China? I'm just trying to understand.
Someone asked a question earlier and they gave a figure that a lot of people in the industry said that 60-70% of the intermediates come from China. So that is there. The other issue on a broader level is that for some of the starting blocks of penicillin and cephalosporin-based materials like PenG, 7-HCA, 7-HCA, those are all coming from China, Cepsi and everything.
Right.
They're fully 100% dependent on China.
Right. Okay. So it would take a long way for India as a country to kind of reduce the dependence.
For these products, what I mentioned, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to Mr. R.K. Baheti for closing comments. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for participation. It's always exciting to talk to the learner group and you all. And when we meet again, when we talk to each other again after the Q4 annual results, by that time, hopefully, there will be a lot more clarity on COVID-19, the subsequent impact, and all of that. So look forward to me talking to all of you at that time. In the meantime, in case you have any questions on the subject, you can always direct to me, Tanshu or Ajay. So, with this, I wish you a good, happy weekend. Stay safe and take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Alembic Pharmaceuticals Limited, that concludes today's call. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.